me. He's having to swap the light bulb because obviously we need the lights on in August in the UK. It's just got so dark earlier. It's like one of those November days when it hardly gets light. It's just exactly what it's like right now. It's ridiculous. So and my light bulb has started flashing, and I've just had the light off and been working like in the dusk. It feels like in the dusk. But you wouldn't be able to see me properly, so I need the light on for the live. This is not good, August. August needs to go off and have a word with itself, I think. Hello, B. How is it there? How's Virginia? Better than here, I hope. 15 degrees and dull today. It's supposed to be better tomorrow and the weekend, so that's good. Hello, Sue from Ottawa in Canada. Welcome, welcome. Anybody else who arrives, please do say hello. Let me know. Let me know where you're coming in from. Hot and humid, unfortunately. Well, it's cold and damp here, so I think I might prefer it hot and humid, because it's just pants really here at the moment. So today we're going to explore unconditional love. Oh, it's a lovely one. It's a lovely topic. I'm trying to just organise myself because I have my remarkable here with all my bits and pieces I want to say. Sue, it's rainy where you are today. Maybe your weather is a reflection of our weather. A bit pants, really. Excuse me. What was I going to say? I'm a bit all over the place today. I've got my head in some admin-y writing things all day and it's a bit spinny. But also, very excitingly, I finished my 5th Insight Timer course, and it's a much more basic sort of I think I've called it Sustainable Calm with the 3 principles, and it's a really basic course about the 3 principles. So if you haven't come across the 3 principles before, which is the thing that I teach here, then that course will be just ace for you. So hopefully it'll be out next week, because I'm going to hopefully, I might upload it today or I might upload it tomorrow morning, depending. I've got my fiance and I have decided that we're going to hold each other accountable today for our list of jobs. So I've got this list of jobs here. He's got the other half with his things on it, and actually I'm doing all right. I've crossed off a couple of things, and we met at lunchtime, and he was like, he was a bit shady about how much of his jobs he's actually done. So we'll see. We're quite playful about these things. Nobody will be sat in the corner with their hands on their head. It hasn't gone well, but I just thought it was a fun thing to do for us to support each other in our work. We both said this morning, we've got loads of things to do today, and I said, well, right, let's try and hold each other accountable, because we both can procrastinate a little bit. I'm going to say him more than me. It's probably a lie, but I do think that we both do a little bit. So I thought it'd be good for us to go back to each other at the end of the day and see how the list has gone. It'd be nice to have a nice clean sheet for the weekend, wouldn't it? That never happens when you run your own business, by the way. Does anybody else here run their own business and realise your list isn't? Not that anybody else in life has ever. Can you relate to procrastination, Sue? Then you should do my course, which is called Stress to Success, the 3 principles approach to effortless productivity. Just thought I'd slip that in. So a little bit more about me before we get cracking with unconditional love. My name's Claire Downham. I'm known as the Queen of Calm, and I help people to overcome stress, anxiety and overwhelm, but without loads of tools and techniques and trawling about in the past. I teach a really simple understanding known as the inside out understanding of the 3 principles, which helps us to have a nicer experience of life. And the key to it is, the deeper you understand this, so the more time you spend in the conversation, the more transformation you occur. And when I say that, doesn't mean you need to have hours and hours of coaching. Of course, I would love to do some coaching with you. I'd love to do some mentoring with you. I'd love to support you on this journey. And you can find out more about that in the link in my bio and book a free call, an introductory call if you want to. However, it can just be from listening. A lot of my transformation has come from doing little courses like the ones I've got on here, and listening to content, attending lives, listening to podcasts like my free tracks. There's absolutely loads of them. There's loads of content to listen to. And it's almost like a drip drip that happens. And you just suddenly notice, I just suddenly notice that things don't bother me and life just seems to be okay. And in fact, I was talking to a man earlier who might be helping me to get some of my content out to businesses. I was saying, I don't really go up, you know how everything seems a bit much and then you go on holiday. A lot of people are going on holiday at the moment, and then you feel better for a bit, but then you come back into life, and life ends up being like quite profoundly up and down, like in a pronounced way. Well, my life isn't really like that now. It's much more. There's little, the downs are very short, and I'm back up again, but the fluctuations are just less. And my line used to be like this. It used to be up and down emotionally, very dramatically, often very dramatically, and now it's just much more. Not even that much. It's just much more gentle, and it's possible for everybody. I'm not special. I'm no different to any of you. I don't operate in a different way to you. I don't function in a different way to you. I just understand that functioning better now. And that's the difference. So that's what the three principles can give us. And my new course, which is Sustainable Calm and the Three Principles, much shorter title this time. I kind of wish I could go back and change the title of all the others because the titles got longer and longer, and I've gone, oh, they're too long now. Let's make them shorter. So it's a shorter title, this next one, and that will be out in the next week or so, hopefully. But that that really does give you that grounding in the three principles from which you can build, or from which you can subtract, because really what the three principles is a subtractive psychology model where we're looking to take things off our minds rather than put them on. The gentleman I was talking to earlier about doing it in business, I was talking about, my well-being for businesses stuff is called well-being without the work, because tell me in the comments if either you're a business owner or you at work in a business where you've accessed some kind of well-being workshopy thing, like a yoga workshop or a stress management tools workshop or a mindfulness workshop or all sorts of some kind of well-being in the work or mental health first aid type things, and how they've given you more to do. They've made well-being look like a job, a thing that you have to do, an extra thing on your list. And does anybody here need extra things on their list? Because you can have some of mine if you like, if you really want something else to do. Most of us don't need well-being to be an extra thing to do, but it's become one of those. So that's what this is. It's a subtractive model. It's about taking things off your mind. So I've been a teacher on here for quite a while, but most intensively since April of this year. So I've now got 4 courses on here which are available to you. And if you are a premium member, they're included in your membership. So please do hop over and have a look at those. These sessions are done voluntarily by me. They're brought to you by donation. So if you are able to support me with donations today, I will be truly grateful. But the other way you can support me is by doing those courses. In that, the more you do the courses, the more you interact with them. Obviously, Insight Timer, I get support from Insight Timer to do that. So please do follow me if you don't. Who's new here today? Have we got some new people? People who've not been on my sessions before. Say hi in the comments and let me know. Sue, you're new. Welcome, Sue. Lovely to you're in rainy Ottawa in Canada today, and welcome. Good to have you here. I think I can see Jeff at the bottom there, bobbing up and down. So Jeff's been here before. I'm starting to recognise some people's little bobbing heads at the bottom. Have you been here before, B? I think you might have been. But if you've not been here before, say hello. If you have been here before, say hello and let me know. Let me know what's brought you back, actually. What is it that's keeping you in this conversation? Yes, I thought you had been. What is it? What's having you come back? I don't even know what it was with me, but something clicked, something made sense, something just had me go, hang on a minute, this is something different. This is something I've not heard before. Although I had actually been presented with the 3 principles understanding twice previously, previous to January 2020. I actually went to see Michael Neal speak in London in 2014. Didn't really get it. And then again, listened to his book in about 2018 maybe, and just went, don't get this, don't understand it at all. And it was third time lucky for me. Oh, that's lovely, Bee. Thank you. You like the conversational approach I have. That's lovely. Hello, Summer Star. Lovely to see you. I love that you say greetings, love. Oh, I know you're not new, Jeff. I'm hoping for some humour today. You always need new ways to become more peaceful. I think it seems like we all do, don't we? And I think the key here is to know that it isn't out there; it's inside. No, you haven't missed much, Summer Star. But I do have a track called "What Are the Three Principles and Why Did They Bring More Ease to Life?" And that is a really good one to start off with, a free track. And then this new course is going to really be about the fundamentals of the three principles. So I will be pointing people in that direction. And I do have a course about relationships as well, which is what we're talking about mostly in these sessions at the moment. So Sue, you want more calm in your life. You want to let things go and not get stressed about things. Well, that course is literally must have known you were coming, because the course I've just created is spot on for you. But hopefully today this will be helpful too. So perhaps as we're going along today, I would love to hear from you. What is it about unconditional? What did you want to learn about unconditional love? Where do you feel that perhaps that's not part of your life? For me, oh, bless you, Jeff. Yeah, have some coffee first, and then when you've come round a bit, I'm going to expect some comedy. Usually Jeff makes me laugh at least at one point in the session, don't you, Jeff? So we're going to have a look at unconditional love today. This is to fit with our theme this month, which is relationships. Now, next month, as I explore the fundamentals of three principles, we'll be really looking at the basics and peeling it all back and really looking at the details of the inside out understanding. So Sue, bless you. You are hard on yourself. Yeah, unconditional love for yourself, so important. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. You're really hard on yourself and self-critical. So, do you know what, Sue? I feel like that's a really, really good place to start with the fundamentals, really, of who we are and who we think we are, which are two different things. Because that's what gets in the way, really, of us experiencing the calm, the unconditional love for ourselves and others, is just a misunderstanding about the human experience and how it comes about. So let's get onto some fundamentals of that. So you as a human being, well, we all as human beings spend a lot of time thinking about things. You've probably noticed that you do that. And we think that's who we are, that everything is in our thinking, and that's really the truth of who we are. But in actual fact, it's not. We're so much more than that. There's some deeper truth about who we really are. And I'm really going to be pointing to that strongly today. So let me share with you my model or not my model, actually, I pinched it from another three principles teacher. The model of innate well-being and the psycho-spiritual understanding that I share here. And it's called the inside-out understanding. And the reason it's called the inside-out understanding is that in the world at the moment, there is a huge misunderstanding about life, about human life, and about how our experience is created, about why we behave the way we behave, why other people behave the way they behave, about how we feel, why we feel the way we feel, and why other people, show their emotions the way they do. And that misunderstanding is that these things called emotions come from the outside world, and that other people, circumstances, situations in our life create our emotions. Now, the issue with that is, I hope, quite easy to see, and it is that while ever we think it's all going on in the outside, or wherever we think that it's other people and circumstances and situations, etc., that are causing us to feel a certain way, we are going to look for the resolution to our well-being in the outside world. And we will be looking in the wrong place because it's not there. That's a misunderstanding. Now, every single day, I forget this for large chunks of my day. I'm a human being. I might be the queen of calm, but I forget this. And I want you to know that, because we all forget it. It's like there's a game of now you see me, now you don't going on with this understanding. Sometimes you will get it, and sometimes you will see, maybe not in the moment, maybe a bit afterwards, you'll go, oh yeah, I see. I was emotionally stirred up then, and therefore I behaved in a particular way. That wasn't anything to do with that other person. That was to do with me. And then sometimes sometimes you'll see it in the moment, and you'll be able to pause, take a breath, and slow down, and go into that place of response rather than reaction. And sometimes it'll be 3 days later or never that you will realise that you've been caught up in that misunderstanding, that your feelings are coming from the outside world. And what I want you to hear in that is that none of that is right or wrong. That's just the human experience. But the more we can look in this inside out direction, the more likely we are to experience more of those periods where we navigate life with this understanding of our own emotional state, because that's really what we're looking at here, especially when we're trying to move towards a place of unconditional love for ourselves and other people. Understanding of ourselves and our own self-awareness, and understanding of the other. They're the keys, really, aren't they, to unconditional love. But what comes to mind just as I said that was that unconditional love is in fact your natural state. Have you ever met a baby that doesn't have unconditional love? I don't think so. The man I was in a meeting with before I came on here, he's got a baby who's like 10 weeks old or something, and I said, she still doesn't see you as separate to her. She's still in this place of no separation, of oneness. She'll soon start to realise there's a blanket and there's a person and there's a mummy, there's a daddy and all that kind of stuff. And this is a toy and it's not attached to me. And then she'll start using words like mine, which will really be, I think that's the first word that children use, that kind of where the separateness has kind of hit them in the face, and they're kind of, whoa, hang on, that's mine. It's mine, I'm me, and that's mine. The I has become, the ego has awoken, shall we say, or been it's come about, because it just does come about in human beings. I don't think we can probably not avoid that happening. I think that's part of life. So let's talk about this model that is really beautifully encapsulated by spending time with a baby. And I think even those who don't have a baby have spent time with a baby and can see, we've seen that that wholeness in their eyes, that light, that aliveness, that I like to call it innate well-being. Because babies don't need therapy, do they? Babies don't need to work out how to manage their feelings. Have you noticed how babies just flow in and out of their emotional states? In and out, in and out. It's not really a challenge to them, is it? It's us who are challenged by our emotions. It looks like we need to be in different emotional states. It looks like we have to fix our feelings. But for babies, that's not the case. Babies have this connection to their innate well-being. They flow between emotional states. They don't judge any emotions as being wrong. They're not afraid of their feelings, not afraid of their emotions, not afraid of their experience. So they have a completely different experience of life to us. Hello, Eleanor. Lovely to see you. I will come on to the rest of the chat in a minute when I've just done my little spiel. And hello, anyone else who's just come in. Please do say hello. So we have this concept of innate well-being, and it's likened quite often in Three Principles community to a diamond inside. And the reason we talk about a diamond is that a diamond is unbreakable. There's not many things. Is it titanium that can cut through diamond? I don't know. There's not many things that are stronger than a diamond. A diamond is a very, very strong material. And that's unbreakable, unshakable, unmovable essence of who you are. That's the truth of who you are, innate well-being. And if you think about a diamond, when you kind of hold it up, it's light, isn't it? It refracts light. It seems to contain light. I don't think it does contain light, but having done a physics A level, fairly sure it doesn't contain light, but it appears to kind of ooze light, doesn't it, and aliveness. And so therefore it's a wonderful metaphor for our innate well-being. So that's us. That's who we really are, Excuse me. And part of that is love. When I think about that diamond, what maybe you can share with me some qualities that you think would be in that diamond. What makes up innate well-being? For me, it's love, peace, wisdom, resilience, confidence. Maybe there's other things that you think of when you think about well-being. Hello, Kostya. Lovely to meet you. Love to know where in the world you are. So what else? What else is in that innate world? What else do we think? Like everything. Calm. I can't believe I forgot calm. That's ridiculous. I'm the queen of calm. Many facets, Marie, absolutely. But I think they are fundamentally all the things that we try to find in the outside world, aren't they? All the things we seek out there. The things that we think we can find in tools and techniques and practices and poking around in the past, but also the things that we often think are available to us in a change in our circumstances, or a change in someone else's behaviour, or a change in the flipping weather. I mean, I'm sure there's an awful lot of people in the UK right now, especially right around where I live, where basically it's done that November thing where it's hardly got light today. It's just been dull. It's August. It looks like November when you look out the window. And it's only 16 degrees, so it can quite happily be 16 degrees in November. So maybe a little bit cooler. But yeah, it's so I'm sure there's some people in the UK right now who feel like, actually, if the weather doesn't get better soon, I'm going to be in a bad mood too. And if whenever it looks like that, then we're missing the fact that this diamond inside us has got all those things. So I was talking earlier to the gentleman I was just at a meeting with, and we were talking about holidays and how, for some people it looks like their well-being is available in a holiday or a trip away, especially at this time of the year. And that in actual fact, that holiday feeling is available to you all the time, really. It's never more than a breath away, really. So we have the innate well-being, we have the diamond inside. Now, what happens to that baby we were talking about is that baby, people get upset with that baby. People say unkind things to her. People shout at each other in front of her. People bully her, perhaps. People tell her she's a bit stupid. She looks at too much crappy information on the internet, and she gets ideas about what she's supposed to be like, and she picks up inherited things from her mother. How her mother is particularly. She'll pick up on that and think, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be. So for me, that was criticism. My mum, bless her, is very, very critical of everybody, and I still am too. It's something I'm always looking to bring more awareness to, and not in a self, not in a beating up way, but in a gentle, non-judgmental awareness way. I know I can be too critical, and particularly of Bruce, he gets the brunt bit, bless him. So that little baby just starts to learn things about life, and that becomes that baby's thinking, and we call that conditioning. We call that the conditioned thinking, the conditioned mind. And as well as that, we're running a very old program in our heads, a program that was made for an immediate feedback environment where we don't have one now, a brain that was built for tackling saber-toothed tigers on the savannah, etc., etc. And that isn't the environment. So our brain is also not so good, because it's got a way of carrying on that's to do with an environment that it isn't actually in anymore. So what we've got is we've still got the diamond, and we've got all the stuff we've learned, the conditioned thinking, our personal thinking, we call that in the 3 principles. And that's like that's like like a layer of dirt over the diamond, quite a thick, sticky layer of dirt. Like we've got in the UK at the moment. There's a lot of mud about because there's been so much rain. And there's a regular path I walk on, and I haven't to get, often by the summer I can just wear my trainers. I don't have to wear my walking boots. So I'm to wear walking boots because it's so muddy on there. So, like maybe a big thick cow pat. That's nice and sticky, isn't it? So, that thinking over the diamonds like this big cow pat. Now remember, unconditional love, peace, freedom, all those things, particularly unconditional love, that's what we're talking about today, is in the diamond. Now, what happens then is that people feel a bit rubbish because they're in this psychology, and the psychology is full of all that inner criticky stuff and all that stuff that says people need to be better for me to be okay, and all that stuff that says there's a right way to do things and a wrong way, and all our beliefs and all our assumptions and all our perceptions, all of that is in there. And at some point some people start to feel pretty rubbish. They feel anxious, they feel depressed, they don't feel good. And in terms of their connection, or in terms of our connection with other humans, that separation that I was talking about has become, we're looking at this from a non-duality perspective, that separation has become pretty solid. There is definitely a me and a you, and I'm definitely not you, and you're definitely not me. And it's helpful, isn't it? Like, it's useful to perceive that this separation, so I can talk to you, and I can, give someone a hug, and all sorts of things you can do. And it's part of the fun of living life, is to see this separation. But it is in that separation that is in the dirt, in the cow pat. The separation is in the cow pat. It's in that separation that, in our thinking, that we become separate from other people. So thinking about unconditional love, I think that, in the diamond, there is just unconditional love. Just like that baby has unconditional love for everyone and everything. There's nothing babies don't love. They love everything. They even love their own, if you leave a baby unsupervised on a changing mat, while you're changing a pooey bottom, I guarantee that baby has unconditional love for its poo, because before you know it, the hand is in the poo, and you've got to watch it all, haven't you? You've got to have eyes in the back of your head, even when they're really tiny. So that baby just loves everything. I can't believe I'm talking about baby poo, but anyway. And then so then there's the diamond, and then there's the thinking, and the thinking almost does this to us. This is us connected. There's like a heart shape there, isn't there? That's us connected in the middle. And then our thinking just has us move away from each other, and the heart kind of doesn't get broken, but we're in the separation now, because we're all over here in our individual little pits of thinking, in our little cow pats, dancing around in our cow pats. Meanwhile, this is still there. And this is the oneness, this is the connection. And I don't think any of us can live our life there all the time. We'd be gaga, I think, because just, I mean, there are some non-duality teachers, bless them, who really do talk about it as if the whole of life's made up, and there isn't anybody, and there's no thing, and some of them got a little bit like funny with the corona. There's no coronavirus. People were struggling and suffering. I don't think most people needed it. That was particularly helpful to people to hear that. But anyway, so we're suddenly not in unconditional love. We're suddenly in our thinking now. Even more so is when we get upset, because when we're upset, we are well and truly entrenched in separation. We are entrenched in our personal thinking, and we're feeling that in our bodies. Now, what we mostly think that we're feeling the other person's behaviour. So we don't love them anymore because they're making us feel bad. Well, of course we wouldn't love them if they're making us feel bad, but they're not really making us feel bad. We just think they are, because that's the whole illusion, and it's very cleverly created to look that way. But in actual fact, the other people are not, they're not upsetting us. Now, I think what happens as we start to see this inside out understanding in terms of unconditionally loving, and this is for ourselves and others, is that the thinking starts to just look less true. We spend less time caught up in it. We tend to fall back into a place of calm more easily. And we just have a jolly well nice experience of life. And that is us falling back into this space of unconditional love. And I did look up a definition of unconditional love. It's to love someone no matter what they do and have no expectation of repayment. And so and I hope you can hear that when you really see inside out, when you really see that other people aren't making you feel anything, because of course it matters less what they do. Now, it doesn't mean that you might not end a relationship with someone, but can you imagine being able to end a relationship from a place of unconditional love, where you just kind of go, actually, this relationship has had its time and place, and it was wonderful, and now it's not serving anybody who's in it anymore, but I can still love the person, and I can still, I've had moments of it with my ex-husband. I mean, we've been apart nearly 10 years, but he lives next door though, so I still experience him. But I had a moment a while ago where I just felt this feeling of, I'm not in it all the time, but this connection to him, and just like realizing that he was doing the best he could, and so was I, but that we were just not meant to be together. It just wasn't right for either of us, really. And I think all of what I've just said, I think it's B, and was it Sue as well? B and Sue, that too, in terms of ourselves, is, I think almost we create separation from our own unconditional love, don't we? We don't see that, because the psychology, the habitual thinking, is creating this illusion that there's something wrong with us and that we're not okay and we should be doing better and all of that. Now, let me explain a little bit about other people and separate realities, and the idea of people doing the best they can. And so this is especially for you, Sue, and you, B, and this is the kind of thing that I work, if you want to explore this more, this is just the kind of thing I support people with in my one-to-one work. So we learn to think these things about ourselves that are not true. We learn to think things about the world that are not true. They're just picked up from, like if you think about how we learn some of these things. So our mother gets out of bed the wrong side. She's in a bad mood. She snaps at us and says something horrible, and that sticks somehow. Who knows why some bits stick and some bits don't? I don't really. I think the level of emotion is probably quite relevant. And when I say stick, I don't mean there's a wound inside you that needs healing. I don't mean any of that. I just mean that becomes part of your way of thinking. It's part of your conditioning. And that said, that kind of gives you your model of, but there's a saying in NLP, which is the map is not the territory. You have a map of the world, but that's not actually the truth of what's actually there. That's just your map of it. That's just your ideas about it. It's just your thinking. It's not the truth. So we go through life with this thinking, and this is everybody, even people who do really awful things. We go through life with our thinking. And when we decide a thing to do, there's kind of two factors that come into play. So the first factor is, how are we feeling emotionally? So let's say we're feeling upset. Let's say we're feeling angry with another person, for example. And this is all split second. This does not happen in the slow way that I'm describing it. And we feel an emotion because somebody's done something we don't like. We feel an emotional response. Let's call it anger. And we feel that emotion in our body. And in that moment, our system wants to get us back to calm. That's its job. We have a system inside us that's sole purpose is to bring us back, like a psychological immune system, to get us back to calm, Now, that system works perfectly. The trouble is that system gets informed by our thinking. So, the overarching urge of the system is to get back to calm. But then if we're in a misunderstanding and we think the other person is the cause of our feeling, then we refer to our thinking, because that's got the information. That's how we know what to do. And the thinking kind of implicates, it says, well, it's time to shout at the other person or tell them off or whatever. So that's what we do. And that's that. Now if in that moment we kind of go, oh, I've got a bit stirred up about this. My thinking's a bit off. I'm not clear at the moment. I know I'm not clear because I feel terrible. I'm just going to give myself 5 minutes before I speak to this person. I guarantee that when you've calmed down, which takes about 90 seconds, if you leave it to calm down, leave yourself to calm down, then what occurs to you to say at that point will be a very different thing to what you would say when you're upset. You might still relay a similar message. You might still want to express something in particular, or say, can you please not do that word? But you will say it in a very different way. And I have lots of experience, like with Bruce, my fiance, I know that if I pause and then, I'm calmer, I might still say, sweetie, I didn't really like the way you spoke to me then. Would it be okay if you, it didn't, this is why I didn't like it, and would it be okay if you didn't kind of do that again? Now, it doesn't feel quite so much like my well-being depends on it. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't, I know my feelings aren't coming from him. I still have a preference though. Preferences are different. I have a preference. So in that way, when we see that about ourselves, when we see that everybody's doing the best they can with the level of consciousness that they have, how much awareness do we have? How much do we understand our emotions? If we understand our emotions from the inside, we'll behave differently than if we think they're from the outside. And there's kind of levels in between. It's not just it's inside or it's outside. It's, we fluctuate between the two. And then the thought that looks true in the moment, and then we do the thing. That's what behavior is. That's all behavior is. Behavior doesn't come from anywhere else. It comes from our thinking combined with our understanding about our feelings, our consciousness of our emotions. And that's it. that is our in the moment experience, which is what we're really talking about. Who cares about everything else? In the moment, do you not want to be experiencing life in a different way? I think we all do, don't we? So let's just go back. I'm going to have a look at the comments now because I wanted to get all that. Because what I normally do is go backwards and forwards, and then I lose the plot. So Sue, it's self-compassion for yourself. You're really hard on yourself. You're self-critical. I hope you've heard something helpful there, Sue, in terms of seeing that you're only doing the best that you can. You can't go choose somebody else's thinking. You just have yours. So you're always doing the best you can. Now, if you come into a conversation like this, what you will notice is that, first of all, you will begin to be less self-critical, and that's what I love to help people with. I work mostly with people who've got some kind of voice in their head telling them they're a bit crap and a bit rubbish. That's kind of it. So, there's a link in my bio to come on a call and explore that further with me. And also all those courses, of course, that I have on here are super helpful. But the further you go on this journey, that voice in my head is barely there now. And I used to outwardly berate myself, like call myself a stupid idiot and stuff like out loud. And that voice is just, I don't know where it is actually. I think Niggly Nelly, as I like to call her, I think she might have left the building. Marvellous. And I didn't have to use any force with her. She just kind of went. Summer Stoyo, you're dealing with a very strong-willed 17-year-old, about to be 18. Yes, I've been there. And trying to accept and surrender to unconditionally loving her as she learns. Yeah, bless you. And Summer Star, just the fact that as a parent you are looking in that direction is so powerful. That's it. It's so powerful that you're willing to look in that direction. You're willing to see her with that unconditional love and to see that, she is always, she's learning. It's such a strange time, this time of wanting independence while still needing you. And, it's such a confusing time, especially, and I'm so glad I'm not a teenager now. I really am. It was tricky enough in the 80s. I really, in the 2020s, I'm really glad I'm not a teenager. So she's going through a lot. So what I hear there, hi Finance, what I hear there is that you're looking in the right direction, and that's all you can do. And the most important thing for you will be compassion for yourself as well as compassion for her. To see that each moment you are navigating something that isn't. Nobody finds parenting a teenager easy. I proper fell out with my son when he was about 14, 15. Like, he moved in with his dad and didn't speak to him for months. It's not easy. I didn't have this understanding then. I think I probably would have handled it all a bit differently. So B, you need radical acceptance and unconditional for yourself. Unconditional love for yourself. I think you're not the only one. I think most people could do with a bit more of that. I think most of us, particularly women, we are very hard on ourselves. I don't know why. It's because we've to be good girls, haven't we, ladies? Be good girls. Being a good girl, everybody. There is something there, isn't there, about girls are good and quiet, and especially, not sure how old you are, B, but especially from my generation, I think. Yeah, good girls are good and quiet and get on with things. Don't speak out. Still was like that even in the 70s and 80s, which you expect to be a bit more of a revolutionary time, but perhaps we were still learning from the generation before us and the generation before that. It's passed down, some of it, isn't it? So Sue, control issues, need to protect and shield myself, trust issues. So yeah, I've been interested to know, Sue, what you think you need to protect and shield yourself from, bearing in mind that none of your emotional experience comes from the outside world. Perhaps it just feels like you need to trust and shield yourself because of those trust issues. You're in the right place, Sue. That's all I can say. This conversation is going to be transformational for you if you stay with it and keep listening. And hello, everybody else who said hello. Your ex and I are the same. Ready to not be together. I think that was from there. Yeah, failure equals not worthy, Sue, definitely. So, marry, can it also apply to a situation rather than a person that gets you feeling emotions? Yeah, because neither of those things get you feeling emotions, Marie. So absolutely, the whole of the thing works inside out. Doesn't really matter whether it's a person, a circumstance, a particular situation in your life. None of your emotions come from the outside world. Things don't get you feeling emotions. Your thinking about things gets you feeling emotions. And that's why, like there's some great examples of that. And there's examples that you can see. If you start looking for this, you will see it everywhere. Like you will be in the car with somebody and somebody will pull out in front of you and they will be losing their like shouting, banging the horn, fuming, and you'll be just like, what are you doing? Calm down, man. You might not say, don't ever say calm down to someone. I'm the queen of calm. If my fiance tells me to calm down, he nearly gets a right hook. Doesn't it? So I don't mean anybody, but jokingly, but seriously, never tell anybody to calm down. But you'll have noticed that, like somebody's losing the plot. You're in the car and people are beeping their horns and they're angry, and you're in a traffic jam. You don't care. Everybody else is losing the plot. You're watching a movie, and it's like you're watching two different movies because your other half's having one emotional experience, or your friend you sat watching a movie with, and you're having a different emotional experience, and they're laughing at things you're not laughing at, and you're crying. I'm usually crying at most things. They're crying, and you're not crying, and just look for it, Marie, and you will see it everywhere, and you'll notice it in yourself. You'll notice how the situation stays exactly the same, and you go through a fluctuating relationship with that in terms of your emotions, and sometimes it seems terrible and sometimes it seems fine. And hello, Jennifer, lovely to see you. And seeing that fluctuation is really, really helpful because it helps you to see that there is no emotions coming from the outside world, but your thinking, which is a variable thing and a flowing thing and a non-permanent thing, creates your emotions. Thought, consciousness, then an emotion. So Sue, I am so sorry to read that you have written that I am hard-coded from past trauma. You are not. I'm just going to say you are not. And if there's somebody who has told you that, I'm sure they meant well, but they have provided you with a trap. You perhaps have, you will have thinking that creates your in the moment experience that comes from some horrible experience in your past called a trauma. There is nothing hard coded about that. And if it was, it would be permanent, wouldn't it? It would be stuck there, and it isn't, because I bet you notice that some days you barely notice it, and other days you have a lovely experience, and other days you think about it a lot and you feel terrible, and that fluctuates all the time. Volume is quite low. It might be just me. Let me just check my mic. Oh, it's on, the gain's on quite. It might be me. Eleanor, is that a bit better? I'm quite quiet today. I've been awake since 4:30, so I'm probably just running out of steam. Is that a bit better? Yeah, I'll speak up a bit then. Thank you for letting me know, Eleanor. That's so helpful because I don't want people to be falling asleep, although that does sometimes happen when I'm talking, just because I'm quite calm. So, Sue, I'd love to have a conversation with you, Sue. I was on a session the other day, and I was actually I was upset by what I was hearing. I was just listening to somebody on YouTube, and they were talking about wounds, and they were talking about things like you're talking about. There's things wrong with us, that we're broken, that we need fixing, all of this stuff, and it's just awful. But the whole of our psychological system is built on this idea. It's built on crappy Freudian teachings from a man who is, quite frankly, mad as a box of frogs by the things I've read about him recently. And other psychologists who point to psychological damage, that your psychology can be damaged. The way you think, the way you're conditioned to think, is created from your past experiences. I'm never going to deny that. That's a psychological fact. However, your in the moment experience is created via these three principles, by thought, consciousness, and mind. It's an inside out understanding. It's fluid. It's fluid. And I guarantee, Sue, that, if you never thought about this, I mean, that phrase is just, bless you, it's awful. Whoever said that, you're hard-coded by past trauma. I'm sure, as I say, they're psychologically innocent too, and they mean well, these people, but the whole thing is it's just laced with lies. They're not deliberate lies, they're just misinformation, but it's absolutely rife now. So hello to Jennifer, and hello to Naz, and where am I? Yeah, so protect and shield against it. It feels like you need to protect and shield against hurt, but all of your hurt and all of your suffering is created inside. So there's nothing to protect and shield against. It's thought in the moment that's creating your experience. So Sue, I'm so glad you turned up today, because I think you're totally in the right place, and I really do. I would love you to join some of my courses and come to my other live sessions and listen to some of my free tracks, because they're going to be so helpful for you. So Marie, you are an empath, highly sensitive, and you pick on things that the next person may not. I feel like I'm going to have to do a whole session on that. I'm not sure what I think about these labels that we have for ourselves. I fluctuate in how I relate to them. If you are feeling an emotion, that is not coming from anyone else but you. Now, it might be that you have particular kinds, and in fact, this is it, I've got it. If you've got a particular kind of thinking, so there are particular situations that your thinking comes up about, and you feel an emotion related to that in your body, you're not picking up things from the outside world, because we just don't do that as human beings. We don't pick up emotions from the outside world. Our emotions come from thought in the moment. They only come from one place. They come from thought in the moment. They don't come from the outside world. Which means these labels, Violet, mean neither. They do. So Violet, I love what you said there. You're not a fan of labels because they feel like they get you stuck in your thinking. They do, because you believe something about yourself, and then your confirmation bias creates that for you, because your brain is processing about 11 million bits of information each second, and it brings 50 into your consciousness. So if you're going through life believing you are a something, whatever it is, doesn't really matter what label it is, then your mind will bring into your awareness everything that fits in that box. So here's a box with your label on it, and every second your mind will give you access to 50 bits of information that support that. You go into a busy room full of people and you're feeling a bit off, and your mind says, oh, that's because there's some off energy in the room that you're feeling from the other people or whatever. Then of course this is not supposed to be like offensive. I hope it isn't, but it isn't. It's the truth, and it isn't helping people to walk around with all these labels. Like Violet spot on said it beautifully. It gets you stuck in your thinking. You think it's a self-feeding system. So you think you're a whatever, and so you experience life as a whatever. You see evidence that you're a whatever, and then it feeds it in, and it becomes more and more embedded. And what then happens to people is their lives get smaller and smaller, because we start to avoid, don't we? Start to avoid those things, start to stay away from them. We start to not do them. Oh, I can't go to the busy places because I feel the emotions and I don't like it. It's just a crazy illusion. The whole thing is an illusion created inside out. All your experience comes from the inside out. How you see things, how you feel things, how you experience things, how you sense things. The whole thing is projected, not cameraed, not photographed. So, that was a bit of a rant. Sorry about that, folks. Hopefully my volume's okay now. So Carol, you've also said that you're a highly sensitive person. I'd love to know what you mean by get through your thinking. It takes you longer than average to get through your thinking. And how do you know what average is? Because I'm not sure there's a measurement or a survey for that. So let me know, Carol, because I'm not fully understanding and I'd love to help you out. So thinking about what happened is makes us feel. And Marie and Carol, it will seem harder navigating through life when you have a label, because the label kind of underpins everything, doesn't it, as you go through life. And I don't know if you're game for looking towards dropping the label and having a lot easier life, but I'm your gal if you are. So Carol, you said more processing the thoughts. Takes you longer than average to get. I still don't, not sure what you mean by processing thoughts, because thoughts are transient. They're just moving through us all the time. Sometimes, I mean, if you're thinking about your thinking, then you will feel like you're processing thoughts, but you can't process thoughts. Thoughts are fluid. They're just moving through. They're like clouds. They're just moving through all the time. So I really do. Lots of these comments are kind of, I'm going to load this course this afternoon because I want it to be live as soon as possible, hopefully to help you out, folks. So isn't it how we process that information? I'm not sure what you mean by information. Do you mean the stuff from the outside, Carol? Let me know. So how it works, Carol, is that something happens. I'm not denying the existence of things in the outside world, but even at the moment at which we perceive something in the outside world, that's our illusion. That's our separate reality, unique to us. So an example of that is, so I go into the supermarket. In fact, I'm going to tell you a true story about something somebody shared with me during the lockdown when all the Black Lives Matter things were happening. And this is just an example. This is not anything to do with race, really, other than to say that. So this woman said, I see racism everywhere. Even when I go to the supermarket, I can see the way people are looking at me. So, and everybody can have that, can't they? That checkout person was in a mood with me because they had a face on. Well, they've got a face on because they got out of bed the wrong side. They had an argument with a teenage child and they bumped the car on the way to work. That's why they've got a face on. Now, as soon as we see somebody, we start that interpreting. We've no idea we're doing it. So we see somebody's angry face and we think, oh, this person doesn't want to give me money back from customer services because I can see it in the face. Well, their face has got nothing to do with you. But you're already adding a story and you're already making it all the time. And then you might then start to feel an emotion, you might feel a bit of anxiety about this person. Oh, I spent 50 quid on this thing, it's not working, and they've got a face like a wet weekend. They're clearly not going to give me my money back, so you start to feel anxious because you've already made up a story about this person. In the future, of course, you start to feel anxious, and then you think it's them that's making you feel anxious. So then you start to raise your voice a little bit and get a little bit edgy and, right, you are going to give me my money back, aren't you? And you start to, and then of course they get a little bit edgy before you know you're having like a, and there's no place for unconditional love in that space, is there? Everything, Carol, is from the inside out. Everything, all of it. There's nothing from the outside in. And this is the fun place for this. Like, so in my first lesson on my new course, I kind of say to people, right, for the next 24 hours, I just want you to see where you can see it and notice. And anything that you think is coming from the outside in, that's a misunderstanding, and that's a place to get curious and go, right, okay then, I think this works outside in. That's also the place to have a conversation with somebody like me, because you can listen to all the content in the world, but sometimes you just need to hash it out with somebody and get on a call. And if you go to the link in my bio, there's just so many different ways you can do that, from a £17 group session to a full package. So there's just so many different ways to work with me. The key to me is to spread this understanding and help people to end suffering. And how I do that is a multitude of different ways, and I try to make it as easy as possible. So please do check out the link in my bio and find out more about having conversations with me, because to me that's the key, really, is to talk. I've talked to lots of people about this over the years, where I've got stuck and just can't see my way past something. Yeah, Marie, so ruminating thoughts as if you're stuck on one. Well, you won't be, because the thought, once you've had a thought, it's gone. Your brain doesn't hold thoughts, it's not for storage like that. It's a processing system. However, you may have a number of thoughts with like commas in between about the same thing. So you will have thought after thought after thought about so the subject might be the same, but the thoughts themselves are not going to be the same. And the thing with that, Marie, is that what happens with this understanding, and the deeper you go into it, is that, and you know, I know lots of you have seen the ruler before, but I'm going to do the ruler, is that you start to realize how to end your suffering. You know, you start to realize how to get off the train of thought, and when to get off it, really, or just that A, it's possible to get off it, and B, there is some benefit to getting off the train of thought, because you're going to feel better. So it's a bit like this, but it's not this, but you know, it's a bit like this. I'm hitting my, you know, you can see what I'm doing, but I'm saying to you, I'm talking to you and I'm saying, do you know what? I've got this flipping awful headache I can't get rid of. And I've tried everything. You know, I've got my lovely rosemary oil here. I do like rosemary oil, actually. It's really nice. I've been sniffing that. I'm drinking chicory coffee. Not chicken coffee. That's what my dog calls it. Chicory coffee, which has got no caffeine in. And I'm drinking loads of water, and I've been for fresh air walks in the fresh air, and despite it raining, and you know, I've got lots of sleep, and you know, I've even been for a massage. I still can't get rid of this headache. You know, it's just on this side of my head, and it just won't go away. And of course, you're all going to tell me, especially the people who've seen this before, they were shouting, stop hitting yourself on the head with a ruler as soon as I started. But you're going to say, well, did you know that your suffering's there because you're hitting yourself on the head with a ruler? And as soon as I realise that, I'm going to go, oh yeah, I'll stop. So that's what a coaching session with me tends to look like. I help you to see where you're hitting yourself on the head with your thinking, where you're caught up in something that you probably haven't noticed, but I will notice. Now, sometimes I'm going to forget and I'm going to be chatting away, and, you know, my hand's just got into a habit now of doing this. Silly hand. And then, you know, and then either I'm going to, oh, hey, hang on a minute, I've spotted it this time, I'm going to stop a lot sooner. But then, you know, I've gone out of bed the wrong side, I've not had enough sleep, and I'm at it all day. Like, not all day, but, you know, I'm at it for a long time. And I go, oh, no, I'm doing it again. Hand, stop it, you know. And then, but then over time, it's kind of, oh, I spotted it. I only hit myself twice that time, and I spotted it sooner. And it's just the same. You know, I don't often, like I would say, in terms of anger, frustration, and irritation with other people, I would regularly get to a 10 out of 10 ranty lady, proper ranty lady. I was a ranter. No unconditional love there. Just a lot of ranting. And now I still will rant, but rather than, you know, 10 out of 10 ranting, I'll kind of do 1 or 2 level of ranting out of 10 and go, oh yeah, okay. I know that train of thought, like that ruminating, Marie, is just going to make me feel crap. So I'm not going to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to keep beating myself up with my thinking. So we stop once we know where the suffering is coming from. It's like if you've got a stone in your shoe, you know, so if you've got a stone in your shoe, like, you're going to take it out, aren't you? You're going to carry on walking with a stone in your shoe. It's just that most of the time we don't know it's our thinking that's creating the problem. We think it's everybody else and everything else. So we don't do anything about it. We don't stop. And we can stop. But we can only stop. This is not trying to control your thinking. It's when you know it's hurting you, when I know this is hurting me, I'm just going to stop doing it. It's just silly. Like sometimes I actually kind of almost go, well, that was silly. You know, to myself, in a gentle kind of playful way, but just, oh, there you go again on your silly train of thought. You know, it's gentle, it's fun, it's light, it's not heavy. but it just makes sense to get off the train of thought. So Marie, thanks. It's a bit like control and writing things that actually nothing to do with me personally. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to find your well-being by controlling and sorting things out in the outside world, let me tell you what that leads to: burnout. And I should know, because that's what happened to me. Because I was a queen of control. In fact, I should use queen of control to queen of calm. I feel like there's a headline there. But I was a queen of control. I thought that if I got the whole world out there and all the people in it to behave themselves, that I would feel okay. So it was a bit like whack-a-mole, not whack on the head like the ruler thing, but that game where the heads bob up and you have to hammer them. It was just like that. I just kept trying to find. It felt to me like if all the heads went down, I could be okay. But of course, I was doing that for hours and the heads never all went down. And so I felt rubbish and tired. And yeah, too much to do and too much to think about, Marie. Or is it Marie or Marie? And I burnt out in 2015. I went into work one day, took one look at my computer and walked out and never went back. Never went back. Thought I was going to be off for a couple of weeks, but I was actually off for a year. I was off, I think, from work for a year. It probably would have been longer, but they just kind of made me resign in the end. Excuse me. Fair enough, really. The school hadn't had a head teacher. I was a head teacher, so the school hadn't had a head teacher for a year. So yeah, I resigned, and but actually grateful it happened now, because I get to come and chat to you folk on a Friday afternoon instead of being in my office trying to get through as much paperwork as I possibly can before I go home, or doing assembly, I used to do the head teacher's tea party on a Friday afternoon, which was one child from each class had been chosen as star of the week, and they would come to my office and we'd all sit on the floor and we'd have juice and a biscuit. And we wouldn't dare do that now because of everybody's food allergies. We had juice and a biscuit and a nice chill out. And it was really nice. So that's what I would have been doing on a Friday afternoon. But anyway, I'm here with you, which is such fun. Probably better than head teacher's tea pie, actually. So I'm grateful it happened, but that is control and trying to make things right. And of course, for me, that very much was my version of right, which of course is right, because Claire's way of living life is right. Please believe me, I am joking. Just about. But that meant I was tired because I was trying to feel better by making the outside world do as it was told, and it didn't want to do that, unfortunately. But it looked like my well-being was there, so it really was a driving force. Because of course, like I've already said, your innate well-being is, your psychological immune system is always trying to get you back to calm. But then there's this factor of our thinking says all calm's out there by everybody behaving themselves and everything being right and under control, then we will pursue that with great vigor, definitely. So I hope that, especially when we come to other people, this inside out understanding allows us to connect more to this place of unconditional love, because we see, first of all, that our emotional well-being is not caught up in somebody else's behaviour. That is so important. So we can look more towards unconditional love because we're okay with people doing things that we don't like. We have preferences, but we know we're okay. Secondly, we see everybody's doing the best they can with the thinking that looks true to them. They have a separate reality to us. There are 8 billion separate realities. I'm not sure how separate the reality of a baby is, and there's a lot of them, aren't there? That's why we've got so many people on the planet, because we keep reproducing and then not dying. So we've got 8 billion people that 8 billion separate realities. I don't know how many adults there are, but children have separate realities too. And everybody's really just can only do what they can do. Nobody can go and get somebody else's different thinking from the library shelf. It doesn't work like that. And so even the people who, I'm not quite in a place of unconditional love for Donald Trump, but I can see that it's possible to see that he may be a Donald Trump voter. I'm so sorry, but he doesn't have a good rep in this country, and it is mildly amusing to a lot of people. But and also says some things that I just don't understand. But whoever it is who we go, why is somebody doing that? They're all doing the best they can with the thinking that looks true to them. Every single last one of them. Yeah, Violet, you're on the same page as me. You don't take him seriously either. So funny. So that place of unconditional love comes directly from this inside out understanding. And I don't think really, some people may proclaim to be in a place of unconditional love with the world and everybody in it all the time, but I think they might be lying. I don't know. Maybe they are, but or they might be, they might not be there all the time. I don't think anybody can be in a place of unconditional love all the time. However, I think there is one person, B and Sue, we can be in a place of unconditional love with all the time, and that's us. Because you too are doing the best you can. You too are trying the best you can. You too have only your thinking to select from. And B, I love that you're on the same page as me. Donald Trump's an embarrassment. But he's doing the best he can with the thinking that looks true to him. We have to keep reminding ourselves of that, don't we? What he thinks is what he thinks, and that looks true. And for me, having worked in some really deprived areas in schools in Leeds and Bradford, in the north of England, I really can see that. I can see that conditioning happening. I've worked with children who've come from awful homes and had horrible experiences and experienced, like we've talked about today, experienced trauma. We had one kid once who his mum was not feeding him, so he was like on the tip trying to find food. And in year 3 or 4, like he's like 7, 8 years old or something. So you can see why some people's thinking is challenging in life, can't you? It looks challenging to us in terms of how they behave, but it's all innocent, psychologically anyway. So I'm going to draw to a close now because I do have a lovely client to chat to in 5 minutes. So I will just bear with me. I'm just trying to find out what I've got on over the next week because I've already scheduled next week's lives. So I will let you know what they are. Here we go. So live now, I've done that one. So Monday at 3:50, awakening gratitude in relationships. Tuesday at 3:50, mindful presence in relationships. And I am doing a quick hour Zoom after that that's really reasonably priced at £17 straight after that. So these are all UK times if you want to join me to explore that actually in a conversation rather than just like this. 23rd, which is Wednesday, I believe, 8:05 in the morning, the gift of forgiveness. And same time next week, so this is the 1:11 on Friday slots, a regular slot. I think all my times are going to pretty much stay the same now unless something dramatic happens. I'm trying to make them regular. Transforming criticism to empowerment. And then we've just got sort of one more week on this exploration of relationships before we crack on with next month. Next week I'll be live from the motorhome. So some of the sessions from Wednesday onwards, I think. So that'll be fun. You get to see me there. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and thank you those that have contributed. Thank you for your vulnerability, sharing the stuff that you've got going on. I know that's not easy, and I do hope that I meet some of you in a more face-to-face kind of way at some point. I love to chat about this, and I really would love to help some of you, especially those of you that feel like you've been tied up in labels and, scars and wounds psychologically that really, I'd love you to see past those. So take care, everyone. Lots of love. Thanks for all the lovely hearts going up. Do remember that this session is brought to you by donation. If you're able to donate today, it supports me and Insight Time in delivering these sessions. If not, then, please do hop on the courses and engage in the chat with me there, because that's another way to support me on Insight Timer. So, and another way to learn more about the fabulous 3 principles and how life-changing they can be. Take care. Lots of love. Have a beautiful weekend, and I hope to see some of you again soon. Bye.